Here is the full script for the relocation list. Most people looking to buy a house in America right now are staring down the same brutal reality. Median home prices nationally still sit north of $400,000. Mortgage rates have stayed stubbornly high. And in the coastal metros everyone wants to be in, entry-level means something very different than it did even 5 years ago. But here is the thing. America is a large and genuinely varied country. And the assumption that buying property here means stretching your finances to the absolute limit ignores what is quietly happening in a dozen states where home prices, property taxes, and overall cost of living are still firmly within reach. We are not talking about buying a condemned building in a floodplain. We are talking about states where you can pick up an entry-level home for under $220,000, where property tax bills are a fraction of what coastal homeowners pay, and where monthly expenses can come in well below $2,500 for a comfortable lifestyle. Some of these states are obvious candidates. A few will genuinely surprise you. And as you will see, the state that lands at number 1 offers a combination of low purchase prices and minimal tax burden that is hard to match anywhere else in the country. We have ranked 12 states from number 12 down to number 1 based on a combination of entry-level home prices, property tax burden, overall cost of living, and the specific metros or corridors within each state that offer the deepest value. Keep in mind, the figures presented here are approximations meant to give you a sense of the cost of living. Always verify with state tax authorities and current local listings before making any decisions. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 12, Florida. Florida sits at the bottom of this list not because it is a bad deal, but because it is no longer the bargain it once was. The state stretches along 2 distinct coastlines, the Atlantic to the east and the Gulf to the west, and offers everything from dense urban metros to quiet retirement communities buried in subtropical greenery. The climate is genuinely warm year-round, which remains a powerful draw for anyone moving from the northern states. On the tax side, Florida is notably attractive. There is no state income tax, no estate tax, and the homestead exemption caps annual property tax increases through the Save Our Homes provision, which protects long-term residents from sudden reassessment spikes. For retirees living on fixed income, that stability matters. Entry-level property currently sits in the $290,000 to $420,000 range, depending on the metro. Cities like Jacksonville and Ocala sit toward the lower end. Tampa and the Gulf Coast communities trend considerably higher. Monthly all-in living costs run roughly $2,200 to $3,300. On the downside, home insurance premiums have surged dramatically in recent years following hurricane damage across the peninsula. Insurers have exited the market in numbers. Before you sign on the dotted line in Florida, getting accurate insurance quotes is not optional. It is essential. Number 11, Wyoming. Wyoming is often overlooked in property conversations because most people associate it with cattle ranches and national parks rather than residential real estate. That is partly accurate, and it is precisely why values remain relatively contained. The state has the lowest population density of any state in the contiguous U.S., which translates to space, quiet, and a lifestyle that is genuinely hard to replicate. Wyoming carries zero state income tax, no estate tax, and mineral revenue from oil and gas production helps fund state services without leaning heavily on residents. The overall tax burden is among the lowest in the country. Entry-level homes range from roughly $250,000 to $360,000. Cheyenne and Casper offer the most accessible markets. Rent for a one-bedroom in a town center runs $950 to $1,400 per month. Monthly costs overall come in around $1,900 to $2,700. The honest caveat here is that Wyoming winters are serious. Isolated communities can see roads cut off. Services outside the 3 or 4 main population centers are thin, and healthcare infrastructure, particularly in rural areas, is limited. If you value proximity to airports and urban amenities, Wyoming requires a genuine lifestyle adjustment. Number 10, South Dakota. South Dakota punches above its weight on the tax front. No state income tax, no estate tax, and a set of trust laws that have made the state a favorite among wealth planning professionals for decades. The state also consistently posts some of the lowest unemployment numbers in the country. Property entry prices run from about $230,000 to $330,000. Sioux Falls is the largest and most accessible metro, with Rapid City offering proximity to the Black Hills region, which is genuinely scenic. Farmland in the state runs $2,800 to $3,600 per acre. Monthly living costs sit in the $1,900 to $2,700 range. The Black Hills area, the Badlands, and the broader Rapid City corridor attract buyers who want outdoor access alongside affordability. For buyers coming from the Pacific Northwest or the Mountain West, the scenery will feel familiar without the price tags those regions carry. The downside is winters. South Dakota winters are long and genuinely harsh. Rural healthcare coverage is uneven, and the state's smaller population means that if you are looking for cultural amenities, restaurant variety, or art scenes, your options outside Sioux Falls are limited. Number 9. Tennessee. Tennessee has spent the last decade on every affordability list imaginable, and for good reason. The state covers a wide geographic sweep from the Great Smoky Mountains in the east through the Cumberland Plateau and out to the Mississippi River lowlands in the west. The variety of landscapes on offer is genuinely underappreciated. Tennessee has no state income tax on wages or salaries. Property tax is modest, with an effective rate around 0.66%, and many counties offer a property tax freeze for residents aged 65 and over. Social Security income is not taxed at the state level. For retirees in particular, the overall tax picture is appealing. Entry-level homes range from approximately $220,000 to $340,000. Chattanooga, Knoxville, and smaller cities in the eastern part of the state offer the strongest value. Nashville has appreciated considerably and now sits closer to national median territory. Monthly costs run around $1,800 to $2,800. Summers in Tennessee are humid and warm throughout the state. Tornado risk runs through the Central Belt, particularly in the spring months. Public transit outside the major metros is effectively non-existent, so owning a vehicle is not optional, it is a baseline requirement. Number 8. Iowa. Iowa does not generate much lifestyle excitement in the national conversation, and that is precisely why it belongs on a value-oriented property list. The state has some of the strongest rural infrastructure in the country, a genuinely low-crime environment, and a healthcare network that extends meaningfully into non-urban areas, which is far from universal in the Midwest. Iowa recently simplified its income tax to a flat rate of 3.8%, and retirement income is largely exempt from state taxation. Property tax is moderate. The cost of living overall sits comfortably in the affordable range, with monthly all-in costs around $1,900 to $2,700. Entry-level homes come in between $200,000 and $280,000. Des Moines represents the most active market, with Cedar Rapids and Iowa City also offering real purchasing options. Farmland in Iowa is notably productive, running $9,000 to $11,500 per acre, reflecting the state's position at the heart of the Corn Belt. The geography is flat. There is no polite way around that. If elevation and scenic variety matter to you, Iowa will feel constraining. Winters are cold and long. Smaller towns have phased out migration, which can make local services inconsistent. But if your primary goal is a low-cost, low-drama residential purchase, the numbers here are difficult to argue with. Number 7. Kentucky. Kentucky sits at a genuinely central point in the eastern United States and combines affordable property prices with a landscape that surprises most first-time visitors. The bluegrass region around Lexington has a rolling pastoral quality. Eastern Kentucky runs into the Appalachian foothills. The Bourbon Trail corridor supports a tourism economy that adds character and local income to communities throughout the state. Kentucky's flat income tax is currently 4% with further reductions planned. The first $31,000 of retirement income is exempt from state taxation. Property tax is modest overall. Entry-level homes range from $190,000 to $280,000, with college towns like Lexington and Bowling Green offering strong long-term fundamentals. Monthly costs come in around $1,700 to $2,500. Farmland runs between $4,200 and $5,800 per acre, which reflects the state's agricultural productivity without reaching the premium levels of the Corn Belt. Rural broadband is inconsistent across the state, particularly in eastern counties where economic decline has been a persistent challenge. Summers are humid and warm. For buyers looking at eastern Kentucky specifically, it is worth researching local service infrastructure carefully before committing. Number 6. Missouri. Missouri sits geographically at the crossroads of the country. Kansas City to the west. St. Louis anchoring the eastern edge along the Mississippi. And in between, the Ozark Plateau offers lakes, rivers, clear water streams, and a retirement corridor that has quietly attracted thousands of buyers from the coasts over the past decade. Missouri's top income tax rate is 4.7%. Social Security income is exempt for most retirees. Property tax is moderate. Monthly costs run from about $1,700 to $2,500, and entry-level property sits between $180,000 and $260,000. That puts Missouri meaningfully below the national median at the entry tier. Branson and the Lake of the Ozarks area in particular have become established retirement destinations. Farmland in the Ozark region runs $3,500 to $4,500 per acre. Rent for a one-bedroom in a town center comes in around $850 to $1,200. Missouri sits in tornado country, and severe weather events through spring and summer are a real consideration. Rural healthcare in the Boot Heel region to the south is uneven. Winter ice storms can cause disruption in the central and northern parts of the state. These are genuine factors, not hypothetical risks. Number 5. Arkansas. Arkansas is one of the most consistently underrated states in the country from a cost of living perspective. The Northwest Corridor anchored by Fayetteville and Bentonville has grown remarkably fast over the past decade. Walmart's global headquarters in Bentonville has attracted a broader corporate and supplier ecosystem that has lifted the regional economy well above what you might expect from a state that rarely makes national headlines. Beyond the Northwest, the Ozark and Ouachita mountain regions offer genuinely dramatic scenery, abundant lakes, rivers and trails, and small towns with very affordable housing stock. Entry-level property ranges from $180,000 to $260,000. Monthly costs sit around $1,700 to $2,400. On the tax side, Arkansas has brought its top income tax rate down to 4.4% with further reductions coming. Social Security is fully exempt. Property taxes are low. Savvy buyers who positioned themselves in the Fayetteville-Bentonville corridor 5 years ago have already seen strong appreciation. The downsides include humid summers, tornado exposure, and thin infrastructure in the Delta lowlands to the east. Airport access is more limited than in neighboring states. But for buyers who want mountain scenery, low purchase prices, and a tax-friendly structure, Arkansas delivers on all three. Number 4. Alabama. Alabama rarely appears near the top of property value lists, but the numbers make a strong case for it. The state carries one of the lowest effective property tax rates in the country, running around 0.41%. Income tax tops out at 5%, and both Social Security and most pension income is exempt from state taxation. The overall burden on retirement income is genuinely light. The Gulf Coast strip around Mobile and Gulf Shores provides warm weather, coastal access living at prices that bear almost no relationship to what similar coastal properties cost on the Florida Panhandle or the Atlantic seaboard. Entry-level property runs $180,000 to $280,000. Monthly costs sit in the $1,700 to $2,500 range. Rent for a one-bedroom in a town center runs $900 to $1,300. Beyond the coast, Huntsville in the north has developed a significant aerospace and technology sector. It is one of the more economically dynamic mid-sized cities in the southeast, and it offers an affordable housing market alongside genuine employment diversity. Hot, humid summers are the primary lifestyle challenge. Tornado risk is real, particularly across the central part of the state. Rural healthcare in the Black Belt counties that run through the center of Alabama is a documented concern, and public transit is essentially absent outside the main urban areas. Number 3. Oklahoma. Oklahoma holds one of the most compelling combinations of low property prices and low farmland costs of any state in the contiguous U.S. Farmland in Oklahoma runs between $1,800 and $2,400 per acre, which is among the cheapest you will find anywhere in the country with comparable agricultural infrastructure. For buyers considering both a residential purchase and rural land, that figure is worth pausing on. Entry-level homes in Tulsa and Oklahoma City range from approximately $170,000 to $260,000. Both metros have grown meaningfully, with Tulsa in particular drawing attention for its remote worker incentive programs and a revitalized downtown core. Monthly costs across the state run $1,700 to $2,500. The tax structure is solid for retirees. The top income tax rate is 4.75%. Social Security is fully exempt. Senior property tax freezes and homestead exemptions further reduce the burden for older buyers. There is no estate tax. Oklahoma sits in the heart of Tornado Alley. That is a factual constraint, not a rhetorical flourish. Severe weather preparedness is a real part of life here, particularly through spring. The broader economy has historically tracked oil prices, which introduces volatility. And the state offers limited mountain scenery and no coastal access, which matters for some buyers more than others. Number 2. West Virginia. West Virginia carries a complicated reputation, and it is worth separating the genuine challenges from the distorted perception. Property prices here are among the lowest of any state in the country. Entry-level homes run from roughly $130,000 to $200,000. Monthly living costs sit in the $1,600 to $2,400 range, and rent for a one-bedroom in a town center can be found for $800 to $1,200. The Appalachian mountain setting is legitimate. The New River Gorge National Park, the Monongahela National Forest, and the Greenbrier Valley offer scenery that competes with far more expensive mountain states. For outdoor-oriented buyers, West Virginia offers access at a fraction of the entry price you would pay in Colorado or Montana. On the tax side, West Virginia is actively phasing down its income tax rate. The current top rate sits around 4.8%, trending lower. Social Security is fully exempt. Property taxes are among the lowest in the country, giving West Virginia a genuinely light overall burden on household income. The honest challenges are well documented. Population has declined in many counties over the past 2 decades. Urban amenities outside Morgantown and Charleston are limited. The opioid crisis has had lasting effects on community infrastructure in specific pockets of the state. Winter ice events can be significant in the higher elevations. These are real considerations that any serious buyer should factor in. But at $130,000 to $200,000 for an entry-level home, combined with some of the lowest property taxes in the country and a genuine mountain landscape, West Virginia makes a strong case for anyone willing to do their research. Number 1. Mississippi. Mississippi is the most affordable state in America by virtually every standard measure, and it lands at the top of this list because the combination of home prices, property taxes, and total cost of living is simply unmatched anywhere in the country. Entry-level homes in Mississippi start around $130,000 and top out at roughly $220,000. In smaller cities and towns across the state, buyers are routinely finding decent single-family homes well below the $150,000 mark. Monthly all-in costs run from $1,500 to $2,300, which puts Mississippi in a category of its own among U.S. states. Rent for a one-bedroom in a town center comes in at $800 to $1,200. Property taxes in Mississippi are among the lowest in the country. The state income tax is a flat 4.7% with further reductions legislated in coming years. Social Security is fully exempt from state taxation. The net result is that retirees living on Social Security and a modest investment income can carry a genuinely low total tax burden. The southern half of the state is warm year-round. The Gulf Coast, anchored by communities around Biloxi and Gulfport, offers actual coastal access at prices that Florida buyers can only look at with envy. Farmland in the state runs $3,000 to $3,800 per acre. The downsides are real and worth stating directly. The Gulf Coast is exposed to hurricanes, and insurance costs along the coast reflect that risk. The job market for anyone still working or looking to build a second career is narrower than in more economically diverse states. Rural healthcare access is uneven across the state, particularly in the Delta region running up the western side. And Mississippi summers are humid and genuinely hot. But for a buyer whose primary goal is the lowest possible entry price, the lowest property tax bill, and a warm climate lifestyle on a fixed or modest income, Mississippi delivers everything this list is built around. There is no other U.S. state that offers this combination at this price point in 2026. And there you have it, 12 of the cheapest states to buy a house in America in 2026. From Florida's tax-friendly but increasingly expensive markets all the way down to Mississippi's unmatched combination of low prices and low property taxes, the options are genuinely varied depending on what matters most to you: climate, scenery, tax structure, or sheer affordability. If you found this useful, consider subscribing. We cover destinations like this every week, both domestic and international, for anyone looking to make their money go further. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.